Good morning and welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnek. When the 118th Congress is sworn in on January 3rd, it will look different from the groups that have gone before them. A record 149 women will serve their home states on Capitol Hill, and the new crop of Congress people will be more diverse than ever before, with the most Latina and black women ever adding their voices to the mix. One of those representatives will come from right here in Illinois. 39-year-old Delia Ramirez was elected to serve the new 3rd District, the first Latina from the Midwest to be sent to Washington. She's joining the ranks of the Progressive Caucus and using her unique story to move legislation forward. While the newly elected lawmakers haven't officially started their jobs yet, they've already gotten to work trying to push the outgoing Congress towards their own priorities.
Waiting to get sworn in to do the work of the people and to begin to address the pain that we feel in our communities and in our very own families.
The House and the Senate have delivered critical investments for the working people. We must continue these investments and build on these victories while we still have control of both legislative chambers.
Well, I sat down with incoming Congresswoman Delia Ramirez after returning from orientation in Washington about the road ahead. And joining me now is Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez. Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul.
You are, of course, the first Midwestern Latina elected to Congress. So aside from the historic consequence of that, what specifically does it mean to you to represent the values, the issues of the Latino community in the U.S. Congress?
Look, I've said it before, it's personal. It's surreal, but a sense of urgency. There are so many people, not just in my district and 3rd Congressional, but across the Midwest, in Wisconsin and Ohio and Michigan, who are looking to me and saying, if you are the very first Latina in the Midwest, there's a sense of responsibility to work and move legislatively, but also create a space for all of us.
You are progressive, and you are progressive the way it means today, what it means today. So when you have met with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you wholeheartedly support the Green New Deal. Your endorsements included Chuy Garcia, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. Are those your role models for Congress? And what do you say to people who are concerned about such a progressive agenda?
Look, what does progressive mean? Progress for all. And that is going to take all of us. I am going to work with every single member of Congress, and if that's Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who I voted for to be our new leader and the first black leader Democrat in Congress, or if it's going to be Cori Bush from Missouri or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York, I want to work with everyone that's going to work on housing, on immigration, on healthcare, and on economy.
I have to ask you this, because oftentimes I'm talking to people, oh, they were just reelected. This was the first time you entered that Capitol building and the complex as a Congresswoman-elect. Can you just think back to what the feelings were?
Goosebumps, Paul. I mean, look, I've said this before very publicly. My mother crossed the border pregnant of me. They worked 2-3 jobs just to get us through school and through high school. And the fact that the daughter of 2 Guatemalan immigrants walks into the Capitol very proudly with her ID, and people look at her as a member-elect this way, staff the other. And I get to walk into that place, represent 757,000 people. Surreal. I pinched myself enough, I think I have a couple bruises.
So we all see the outgoing leadership, the senior team, we see the incoming younger team coming in. Did you meet with all of them? And tell me about those dynamics, both ingoing and outgoing.
Yeah, so I've had an opportunity to meet with a number of members. Speaker Pelosi, who's still our speaker until the end of the year, she hosted a dinner for all the freshmen. Had an opportunity to visit with her in her office. I took a picture in her balcony. You know, it was a really nice office view, not the view that I'll have in my office.
No, but we won't
talk about that now. But it was a really great opportunity to really talk about the issues and the diversity of the freshman class. There are so many firsts from California to Florida. It's incredible. By the way, we'll have the most progressive number of members of Congress there. And that meant that I had dinner with Elizabeth Warren, right? I've had an opportunity to talk to her on the phone, on Zoom, but to actually sit there and talk about what we could actually still get done during lame duck and what we can get done even in the minority next year was really uplifting.
Did Pelosi say anything about, you know, hey, look, I'm leaving leadership, but I'm still in Congress and I will be a resource? Any message about that?
She did, and she was really big about that, even in the conversation she had with folks as a whole. Look, while I'm stepping down, and I got to be on the House floor when she gave her transition speech, a number of people to my left and to my side were teary-eyed. Right? The moment, what we've gone through, what her family went through during the election, and to be able to historically be in the House floor as this transition is happening, and knowing that she was going to be supporting Hakeem Jeffries and Catherine Clark and Pete Aguilar in leadership was really, to be honest, a moment of being in awe. So it was great to hear that. She is passionate about San Francisco and her district. And I have a sense that while she may not be the speaker, she'll still be able to, one way or another, have a little influence there.
I would think so. So that's the dream and the aspirational part of the job. But I've also heard that part of the traditions, of course, is you have to pick your office in a little bit of a lottery. I'm sorry to bring you to reality, but what happened?
Oh my goodness. Listen, you have all of us there at 8 a.m. The one time that most people got there on time for any session was office lottery day. You walk in, the entire press, and they call your name to go up there. You know, people do different rituals. I had my husband on FaceTime. I said, you got to be my good luck charm. You have to be good luck. Don't give me bad luck. I walk in, and the commissioner of office election, it's such a formal process, tells me, are you ready? And I said, I'm rooted and ready. My campaign slogan. I shake it up, and then I come out with number 67 out of 74. And then I looked at it, I was like, I don't want to be that rooted, in the basement rooted. But that meant that I was the 67th person to get to draw and to go select an office after 66 people had chosen the best offices before that.
Did you click your husband off FaceTime at that point?
I said, you're no luck, bye. No, I'm kidding.
So you held a press conference talking about your priorities and all that. So, and of course, you met with me during the election. What's changed? What are the priorities now? It's real now.
Mm-hmm. Look, when people elected me, we were very clear. You don't start working on the day you get sworn in, you get start working on the day after the election. You use this time of transition and orientation, and I couldn't walk away from orientation knowing there's lame duck, life-giving, life-saving decisions to be made on earned income tax credit, on DACA, and a number of things. So I put together a letter with my new chief of staff and my deputy chief. I went on to my new colleagues, freshman colleagues, and I asked them to sign on. 10 of them signed on, and then we decided we're putting together a press conference. While people are finalizing their office selection, because they got better office than I did, we'll be right in front of the Capitol, really calling an urgency to leadership that while we're still in the majority, there are things that we must do. And since I can't physically vote, I can certainly champion and fight for it.
But soon, you won't be in the majority. You'll be in the minority. The House will be controlled by Republicans. What kinds of legislation, I know you're thinking ahead to that, do you think you can get through a Republican-controlled majority?
So here's the thing. We had a number of wins this past year. We have to protect those wins. That's number one. We have to make sure that what we've actually passed in legislation, the IRA, the number of grants and resources coming to our states, that we protect those resources, that those grants actually get to our states. A lot of this hasn't even been written into law. The U.S. Treasury is still working through it. So one of the things I want to make sure is that we're getting all these programs and resources and grants into these districts, my congressional district. The second thing is we're going to have to take all of the executive action that we can and really work with the administration to protect the things that we care deeply about and identify creative ways to pass things. We still have the Senate.
So, and you know, DACA has been a very personal issue for you. You're married to a DACA recipient. I'm sort of curious, what kind of resistance did you get? And when you talk to people maybe who didn't believe in DACA assistance, did you mention, I'm married to a DACA recipient?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when people talk to me and like, yeah, of course she cares about it. She's Latina. Of course she cares about it. Her parents were undocumented. But I'm the only member of Congress in a mixed status right now. And so it shifts some for people. And at the same time, Paul, the resistance is still there. The question, can you get, will you get, did we get 10 Republicans to vote on it? And what I've said over and over, when there is a political will, a sense of urgency, and enough of us at the table, we could pass the legislation. It's a question of will and what kind of negotiation. My concern has always been, in that resistance, what would they want to trade off in exchange for the DREAM Act?
And while you're here, of course, 2022 is so yesterday. I want to take a quick look at 2024 with you and just ask the question, if President Biden should run, because that's going to happen sooner than later, if he decides to run, do you support him? And whether you do or not, is there somebody else you'd like to see looking at the presidency in 2024?
Paul, I know it sounds like 2024 is so far along. 2024, I'll be running for re-election, and I'm trying to really think about this particular moment. If it's going to be our current president that runs, I don't think that there will be other Democrats that are going to be running against them. We want to make sure that we get the House back. All I think about is, I want to be in the majority in Congress. What do I do to make sure we get more Midwestern members of Congress elected? I mean, look at that. It's only a couple of seats, and it changes everything. There was never a red wave. It never happened in the Latino community. It really didn't happen across the country. So if it's going to be Biden administration second time around, or if he decides not to, I mean, I certainly would like to see a progressive run. If he's not, if Elizabeth Warren decided she wanted to run and Biden isn't running, I think it's a different conversation. But all I think about, to be honest, all of us think about, how do we get the majority back?
So this was your opportunity to announce a run for president. I'm not hearing that.
Not yet. Give me a couple more years.
Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you so much.
Have a great holiday.
Thank you.